Hello everybody and welcome back to my page. It is time for a book review with me, Nina Soden, the redheaded author, and today we are talking about The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. All right, this one was released in paperback earlier this year on April 2nd, 2019. It is a thriller and it comes in at about 370 pages. All right, my overall rating for this one is a 4.75. I gave story and writing and characters all 5 stars. Appearance, I gave 4 stars. We will get into the nitty-gritty of all of that in just a little bit. All right, let's start with the Amazon description for this one. In the New York Times best-selling thriller from the author of Lock Every Door and Final Girls, a young woman returns to her childhood summer camp to uncover the truth about a tragedy that happened there 15 years ago. 2 truths and a lie. The girls played it all the time in their cabin at Camp Nightingale. Vivian, Natalie, Allison, and first-time camper Emma Davis, the youngest of the group. But the games ended the night Emma sleepily watched the others sneak out of the cabin into the darkness. The last she or anyone saw of them was Vivian closing the cabin door behind her, hushing Emma with a finger pressed to her lips. Now a rising star in the New York art scene, Emma turns her past into paintings, massive canvases filled with dark leaves and gnarled branches that cover ghostly shapes in white dresses. When the paintings catch the attention of Francesca Harris White, the wealthy owner of Camp Nightingale, she implores Emma to return to the newly reopened camp as a painting instructor. Seeing an opportunity to find out what really happened to her friends all those years ago, Emma goes. Familiar faces, unchanged cabins, and the same dark lake haunts Nightingale, even though the camp is opening its doors for the first time since the disappearances. Emma is even assigned to the same cabin she slept in as a teenager, but soon discovers a security camera, the only one on the property, pointed directly at her door. Then, cryptic clues that Vivian left behind about the camp's twisted origins begin to surface. As she digs deeper, Emma finds herself sorting through lies from the past while facing mysterious threats in the present. And the closer she gets to the truth about Camp Nightingale and what really happened to those girls, the more she realizes that closure could come at a deadly price. Sound intriguing? Yeah, it did to me too. All right, so like I said, this is a thriller. You probably recognize the name of the author, Riley Sager, because I recently reviewed his book, Final Girls, which I loved. It was the first book in a long time that I actually gave a 5 out of 5 star rating. It deserved it. It was fantastic. Well, he did it again. All right, so I didn't give it quite a 5 out of 5 star rating. I gave it a 4.75 star rating, but The Last Time I Lied was amazing. It was so fun to read. All right, now let's talk about those critical points. We'll start with story. I gave the story 5 stars. The story follows Emma, who at the age of 13 goes to summer camp at Camp Nightingale. All of the kids from her school call it the rich girls camp. You know, it's known to be like the place to go. She ends up getting there. She bunks with these 3 older girls because she shows up late. So she has to bunk with the 3 older girls in the one cabin that has an empty bed. And those 3 girls end up going missing and the camp shuts down. and everybody is sent home. So this book takes place 15 years after that event, and Emma is now an accomplished artist in New York City, and she secretly paints the 3 missing girls in every single one of her paintings, and they are hidden under layers and layers and layers and layers of paint. Basically, she suffers from anxiety because of this tragedy that happened during her childhood, and she uses her art as a form of therapy. All right, so during her art show, she's got this big art show out in New York City, and during this art show, Franny, the owner of Camp Nightingale, the owner of the property, she shows up, and she asks Emma to return to camp because she is planning to reopen camp that summer. So she wants Franny to come. She wants her to come and be an art instructor at Camp Nightingale. Emma toils with this decision. She sees the bad reasons why she shouldn't go. She sees the reasons why she should go. And eventually she decides to go, hoping for some closure and also hoping that she can maybe do a little investigating and find out what happened to the 3 missing girls. Interesting, right? Okay, so for writing, I again gave this one 5 stars. The pace of this story is great. It's a very fast read, and I think I finished it in just a few days. 370 pages isn't that long, and it is very fluid. The structure is interesting. It jumps back and forth between past and present, which I don't always like, but it worked really well in this book. This allowed us not just to understand Emma and what she is going through as an adult, having this tragedy in her past, but also to understand what she experienced 15 years prior and how that colored her world as she grew up, but also how experiencing that through a child's eyes and then looking back at it through the eyes of an adult, and how those 2 things can be different and in what areas they are very similar. All right, this book was so much fun to read. Sager is great at putting suspicion on just about every character in the book, making it really hard for the reader to trust anyone and to trust that anyone could possibly be innocent. Usually I can pretty much figure out who done it when I read a book like this. But with this one, I had no idea until the end, until that twist came and the answers were given to me. So I really liked that. As a reader, I liked not knowing what was going to happen and getting that surprise at the end. It's like opening a present on Christmas morning. You're surprised by it. I really like how Riley Sager writes, and I love the vivid settings, the descriptions, the imagery. He uses a lot of similes in his comparisons that just paint a wonderful picture for the reader, making you hear everything and see everything and smell everything, and it is awesome. I love his plot twists, and I love the big reveals. Like in Final Girls, again, 5 out of 5 stars. Like in Final Girls, the reveal in this one really did surprise me, which is awesome. All right, I love how Sager is able to just tie up all the loose ends in the book. And he did that in Final Girls as well, but it just makes for a very clean ending, a very clean story with no plot holes, which I like when it comes to single story books, okay? That is completely different in series. In a series, I want you to leave me on a cliffhanger with every book until the last book. I love a good cliffhanger, but if it is a book that is a standalone single story book, I want clean, smooth, fill in all the potholes, answer all the possible questions, give me everything so that I can put that book down and feel like I'm good. I'm done. I know this story. I have no questions. And that's what he does. He does that for you in this book so beautifully that you're like, all right, it is done. Tie it up with a bow and send it away. All right, for characters, I gave this one 5 stars as well. There are so many characters that I wanted to trust, but just couldn't. And you even find out things about the lead character, Emma, that make you question whether she is the good guy or the bad guy. And that is pretty cool to me. Since this book is told from the perspective of a female character, there are a number of scenes, a number of chapters, a number of instances where I felt like the author, being a man, could have really messed up. However, Sager is really good at writing from the female perspective and capturing the emotions that come along with the events that happen throughout this novel. Both in the past, as Emma is a child, as well as in the present day when Emma is a grown woman, Sager just captures her so beautifully. Her emotion, her reactions, her language, her physical presence, her mannerisms. He does a great job of capturing her as a lead character in this novel. All right, for appearance, I gave this one 4 stars. The cover is designed by Alex Merto, I believe is the name, and the photograph was by Erin Smith. I don't know if you can see her behind the words. It is beautiful and it is haunting, and although the photo doesn't look like the character Emma, in my opinion, and which is why it didn't get 5 out of 5 stars on this appearance, I gave it 4 stars because it just doesn't feel like Emma, and it doesn't feel like one of the missing girls. There was just a little bit of a disconnect. I think it's beautiful. I think it's haunting. I think it's a gorgeous cover. It just doesn't quite fulfill what I felt needed to be fulfilled for this cover of this book. It doesn't tell me what it needs to tell me. All right, I do have 2 favorite quotes in this one. The first one is, "Sometimes the only way out is through." Sometimes the only way out is through. So for me, I think of the hard times in life, things that when it goes wrong, when it can go wrong, it does go wrong. When you get into those jams and you think, oh my God, how am I going to get out of this? How am I going to get to the other side of this? Well, the only way is to go through. And I just love that quote. All right, quote number 2 is, "My future is quite literally a blank canvas, waiting for me to fill it." Isn't that true for everybody? I mean, honestly, yes, Emma is an artist and she paints, and literally she's looking at a blank canvas and she can fill it, and she's literally saying it is a blank canvas. But for all of us, our world, our life, our future, our destiny is a blank canvas, and we decide how we fill it. We decide what steps we take and what future we create for ourselves. And that is pretty fantastic, right? If you look at it like that, you are never too old to change paths. You are never too old to create a new future. You are never too young to have a goal, to have a dream, to have a destiny that you want to create. Your future is quite literally a blank canvas waiting for you to fill it. All right, a little bit about the author. Riley Sager is a pseudonym of a former journalist, editor, and graphic designer. Now he is a full-time author. His first thriller, Final Girls, loved this book, became a national and international bestseller and was called the first great thriller of 2017 by my favorite author, Stephen King. Oh my gosh, how amazing would it be to have Stephen King say something like that about your book, right? All right, so let's talk a little bit about the fact that he uses a pseudonym. I think, so many authors do this these days. Riley Sager is writing thriller, which a lot of women these days are thriving at thriller and just rising on the charts, doing thriller. And it is quite ingenious for a man to take on a name, Riley Sager, which is one of those names that could be male, could be female. You never really know. And it's not like he puts a picture on the back of his books. So you don't know, you just don't know. And it leads to the question, does having a pseudonym that is gender neutral help in gaining readership? I don't know. When I first read Final Girls, I thought it was a female author. And then I looked up the author and found out a little bit more about him, and nope, it is not. Would I have picked it up if I knew in advance that it was a male author? Sure, absolutely. I read the back of the book and thought, wow. But this was actually given to me by a friend, and so I was going to read it anyway. But yeah, it has Final Girls has quickly become one of my favorite books. And The Last Time I Lied is right up there with it. It is just as good. Riley Sager is a fantastic author. No matter what name he wrote under, I would read his stuff. All right, so down in the description below, you will find a link to my blog review of The Last Time I Lied, as well, and in that review, you will also find links and descriptions of Final Girls, as well as his other book, Lock Every Door. So if you are interested in checking out this book, or you are interested in checking out those 2 books by him, make sure you click on that link below and do that. Any support we can give other authors is fantastic. I highly recommend picking up all 3 of his books. Lock Every Door is on my to-read list, so you will be seeing a review of it shortly. All right, everybody, that is my review of The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. If you enjoyed this video, please click like, share it with your friends. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. All right, until next time, happy reading.